Griff, I remember when you were the preacher at Racine that you could have been a voting member of the elders if you wanted to, but you intentionally chose not to. And I remember seeing good fruit from that in the lives of the elders and the staff and the congregation. And I want you to know that the example of submission and humility that you showed to me through that choice made a big impact on me and the whole congregation at Racine. So thank you for that, Griff.
One of the greatest blessings I've had at Ozark Christian College is being able to work with and become close friends with you, Griff. It's not very often that you find a person who's an able scholar, a passionate preacher, and a strong churchman. Before you came to Ozark, I admired what you did down at Racine. Anybody with moderate skills can grow a church in a fast-growing suburb of an urban area. You grow a church in a tiny village of 200 people. In fact, by the time you left Racine, the church was twice as big as the entire community. If OCC is in the business of training people to build and lead churches, they couldn't have found a better person to bring on board than you. And hey, on a personal note, you've become one of my best friends. We've eaten lunch together 2 or 3 times a week over the past 20 years. We've golfed together, we've rooted for the St. Louis Cardinals together, we've laughed together, we've cried together. Well, I don't know if I've actually seen you cry. What I'm trying to say is that we have done life together, and I admire you very much. I count you as a true friend and an example to me of what a real follower of the Lord Jesus Christ looks like. And I know your post-OCC years are going to be filled with faith and with fun.
Griff, I remember growing up around Ozark, and I wasn't old enough to be one of your students yet, but I heard somebody call you Gerald Griffin. And I was deeply confused because I resolutely believed that your name was Griff Griffin. I now know your real name, and I know the stories and the glories of the Old Testament and principles of personal evangelism because of you. I know the timeless tunes of Neil Diamond and how to be a dedicated Cardinals fan because of you. And I know what it looks like to have a heart of worship, a spirit of generosity, humor, and humility, and how to faithfully pastor people your whole life, whether it's to the local church or to a bunch of rowdy college kids, because of you. Thank you for loving us like only Griff can.
Someone said you teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are. So if Ozark wanted to produce ivory tower theologians, then we would hire faculty with lots of degrees, but very little pastoral experience. But if we want graduates with Bible knowledge, practical ministry skills, and a heart for Jesus and the church, guess who we would hire? Gerald Griffin. Now, we all love Griff because he's just a humble dude who loves what he loves. He loves his wife, Sally. He loves the St. Louis Cardinals. He loves Neil Diamond. When my son Luke was a student at Ozark, he and a friend rigged up a classroom sound system to blast Sweet Caroline when Griff walked in. And when he did walk in that day and heard that classic riff, he got that big classic Griff grin on his face. He loves Neil Diamond, but if you hang around Griff at all, you know that Griff loves Jesus most of all. He was the preacher at Racine Christian Church for 20 years, and every year he preached through a gospel from Christmas to Easter. So in 20 years, he went through all 4 gospels 5 times because he says, I just love preaching about Jesus. And because he loves Jesus, he also loves the church. For 20 years, he poured himself into loving and leading that church at Racine. It grew from 50 to 400 as he was just telling folks about Jesus. But then, I love this, Griff has spent the last 20 years of his ministry pouring himself into raising up the next generation of church leaders here at Ozark, teaching Bible classes and ministry classes. And you teach what you know, but you reproduce what you are. So I look at the students of his from days gone by, guys like Casey Kleeman preaching down in Oklahoma, and Rob Peterson preaching here in Missouri, and Jim Freck preaching over in Kansas. And I see guys who look a lot like Griff. They're just humble dudes. They preach their way through Bible books. They've got a strong evangelistic compass telling folks about Jesus, and they care about people, and they may or may not love Neil Diamond, but they love the church. Ozark exists to serve the church. We're the bridesmaid, not the bride. So on behalf of Ozark Christian College, Gerald Griffin, Thank you for raising up the next generation leaders who love Jesus and who love his bride. Well done, good and faithful servant.